Hi, I'm Jen Rosa. I'm a litigation partner here in the New York office at Mayer Brown. I've been with the firm about 12 and a half years. I lateraled here as a fourth year associate, and I focus primarily on financial services litigation. So first, we're going to talk a little bit about OCI. I'm sure you're all feeling a little bit concerned about what it'll be like to interview in a virtual world, but so many aspects of the interview process are really pretty much the same as what you'd experience in an in-person interview. I've learned over the past 8+ months that we've been working from home that it really is possible to connect with someone over Zoom and have just as great of a conversation as you would in real life. I'm guessing one of the biggest fears you all have may simply be the technology challenges. What if something goes wrong? I know that adds a whole new layer of stress that isn't there with an in-person interview, but please know and understand that this is a new environment for all of us. We're all just doing our best, and we completely understand what you're all feeling right now. Trust me, this summer when I had my first virtual court appearance, I was a mess. I had a ton of anxiety, so I understand those fears for sure. But if you show up with enthusiasm and you take the process seriously, you're already ahead of the game. So I know it's easier said than done, but please don't let the virtual piece of this cause you undue worry in the days leading up to OCI. It's just a matter of being able to roll with some of the awkwardness of technology where you might end up speaking over each other a bit, or laughing off the inopportune moments when a siren starts blaring or your dog is barking or your kids are screaming. We've all been there, and frankly, sometimes those types of moments just lighten the mood. So setting aside the technology issues, the actual interviews won't really differ very much just because they're virtual. For example, we tend to ask at least some similar questions of each candidate as a method of standardization so that no one has an advantage, for example, if you happen to click with an interviewer over the same school or some other shared interest. Everyone will still have an opportunity to speak with the interviewer about substantive topics that let us really get to know you and your interests and goals. So what do we care about? We look for candidates that have a genuine interest and enthusiasm about Mayer Brown specifically, candidates who know our culture, our practice, and what we do, and are genuinely interested in those things. We also look for candidates who see themselves staying at the firm for at least 5 years, not candidates who are looking to work at a firm for a couple of years and then move on. We really want people who are invested. I'm often asked if there's a specific type of person that tends to have success at Mayer Brown or specific characteristics that we focus on. And I won't give you an exhaustive list, but I'll share some that really resonate with me. So first is a solid work ethic, a willingness and a motivation to work hard and to be a productive member of a team, a positive attitude and a real enthusiasm for learning and developing your legal skills and your career, someone who stays cool under fire and has a tolerance for pressure and uncertainty, which for better or for worse can be par for the course in a legal career. Another big one is relevant experience or transferable skills, which don't necessarily have to be legal. So this could mean a pre-law school career stint. A lot of our successful candidates have had some prior work experience, but it doesn't need to be work experience. It can also be via internships, clinics, volunteering. We find that candidates who have some practical, real-world experience with working with teams, managing deadlines, juggling priorities, do particularly well. Also, being team-oriented. This one really resonates with me. We pride ourselves on our culture here at Mayer Brown, and we believe it's what makes us stand out as a firm. And that's certainly what stood out to me when I was making my decision to join Mayer Brown as a lateral, as a fourth-year associate. People here genuinely like each other. We support each other rather than being competitive. We're genuinely friends inside and outside of the office. And, honestly, if you had asked me when I was sitting in your position, if I thought I would envision myself at a law firm, for the bulk of my career, and if I thought that was somewhere where I would stay, I probably would have told you I'll go for a few years and then move on to an in-house position or something along those lines. But honestly, Mayer Brown changed my mind. I feel like finding a place where I truly feel supportive and have such amazing colleagues, really showed me that when you find the right place and you click, you can really stay and make a great career out of it. And I think that's what really makes Mayer Brown so different.
Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening to prospective law students and whoever else is watching. My name is Daniel Scher, S-C-H-E-R. I'm an 8th year in the banking and finance practice in the New York office of Mayer Brown LLP. I've been with the firm my entire legal career. I was a summer in the great summer of 2012, and have built out and developed my career at Mayor Brown. So the topic I'll be speaking about now is the whole OCI and virtual interviewing process. I'm sure that given that this is the first time that anybody really will be participating in an entirely virtual OCI process, there's going to be a lot of anxiety and a lot of concerns around that. I had a couple of thoughts in this regard. Firstly, however it goes, it's definitely going to be less awkward than everybody lining up in the corridor of a random hotel on Times Square, or in my case, on the outskirts of Ann Arbor, knocking on hotel doors, and you've got your 20-minute allocated time before somebody else knocks on the door and is, demanding to come in. I think the whole virtual process is actually going to facilitate, hopefully for you, a much calmer experience where you can just kind of sit, get ready, get prepared, and then boom, go straight into it. There's none of the kind of anxiety and like tension of everybody being jam-packed into one of these venues that's not really set up well for this kind of thing. So for those of you who may have anxieties, I'd really just urge you to relax, do your best, like show your best self, and just be confident that I think the process is going to be probably better than a lot of people are expecting it to be. On that note, I wanted to share a few things about what I look for in screening interviews. I've done quite a lot of OCIs, mostly at Michigan. I've done some at Columbia. I do a lot of callback interviews every year. And I'd say that there's three main things that I look for in an interview in a candidate. Look, it's a short amount of time, right? There's not a lot of time to really kind of delve into topics in depth. So we're both using a kind of shorthand. I'm trying to get a good sense of you in the time we have available, and you're trying to convey as much as you can about yourself in that same time. So the three things that I tend to look for is, firstly, I look for some interest and knowledge of the firm. Now, I know it's very difficult. If you go to law firm websites, every law firm website looks the same. They all do everything absolutely amazingly. They all can do anything you ask them. It's hard to get a good sense, but I'd really urge you to read publications, to try and get a sense of, what Mayer Brown is about, what Mayer Brown prides itself on, maybe some plans for the future. Try and get some kind of understanding for the firm, because there's nothing more difficult for me than when I say to a candidate, why are you interested in Mayer Brown? And the response I get is like, oh, well, it's a really good law firm. Like, yes, that's true, but you want to know a little bit more. You want to know that a candidate has researched the topic a little bit. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, I'd like to hear about a substantive experience that a candidate has had. That could be over the summer, that could be a research project. I like to see some kind of passion and some kind of enthusiasm for ideally a legal topic, but if you don't have that, just some kind of enthusiasm about a research project, a work experience, something that you've been involved with, and the ability to talk substantively and coherently about that. And then the third thing that I look for is some kind of hunger or enthusiasm to learn. That one's a little more difficult to convey, but what I have in mind is somebody who's interested in learning more about the practice of law, who asks questions. What kind of deals are you involved with? What kind of matters do you work on? And sort of laps up the response, like really interested, wants to know more, and is hungry to learn, hungry to start work, hungry to get involved in the enterprise that we are engaged in. And I think those are the three key things that I would urge you to think about when you're going into these interviews.